Stop everything, because the Warriors just got eliminated, and somehow the hope for saving Stephen Curry's era may now come from a 2.0% lottery chance. Warriors fans, hit like, subscribe, and drop your take in the comments, because what happened in Phoenix was not just the end of a season, it may have been the start of the most important offseason Golden State has faced in years. The final image of this campaign was brutal. A 111-96 loss to the Phoenix Suns in the play-in tournament, a game that felt like the Warriors were fighting not only an opponent, but the weight of an exhausting season. The energy was off, the rhythm never settled, and when the dust cleared, Golden State was out. No playoff run, no miracle push, no chance to rewrite the story on the court. Just a long flight home, a lot of hard questions, and an off-season that suddenly feels massive. And if you are a Warriors fan, you already know this season never truly found stable ground. Injuries kept interrupting momentum, lineups kept shifting, roles kept changing. Every time it looked like the team might build traction, something got in the way. That is what made this year so frustrating. It was not a clean collapse. It was a season full of flashes, teases, and almost moments. A hot stretch here, a statement win there, then another setback, another absence. Another reminder that this version of the Warriors has been trying to balance the final championship years of Stephen Curry with the uncertainty of what comes next. That balance is where the entire conversation begins now. Because let's be honest, this is no longer just about one bad loss to Phoenix. This is about the state of the franchise. This is about how much time Golden State really has left, with Curry still playing at a level that can terrify defenses. This is about whether the front office can give him one more legitimate window without destroying the future. And strangely enough, after elimination, the 2026 NBA Draft Lottery has become the new source of hope. The order is now confirmed, and Golden State enters the lottery with the 11th best odds and a 2.0% chance at the number 1 pick. On paper, that does not sound like much. In reality, in the NBA, crazy jumps happen. Fans know it. Executives know it. Entire futures have turned on smaller percentages. The Warriors also have a 9.6% chance to land inside the top 4, and that is the number that should have everybody in the Bay paying attention. Because this draft is not being talked about like an ordinary class. The top tier is viewed as a potential game-changing group, with names like A.J. Dabansa, Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, and Caleb Wilson leading the conversation. If Golden State jumps into that range, everything changes. Suddenly, the Warriors are not just licking their wounds after a disappointing season. Suddenly, they are holding one of the most valuable assets in basketball. Suddenly, they can either draft a face of the franchise or use that pick in a blockbuster move to chase one more star next to Curry. And that is why this moment is so fascinating. Elimination usually feels like a dead end. For the Warriors, it feels like a fork in the road. One path says stay patient, develop young talent, and prepare for life after Curry. The other says push the chips in one more time. Take advantage of the fact that Steph himself has said retirement is not close and go hunting for immediate help. Either way, the lottery matters, and it matters more than most teams picking around this range. Look at the full picture. Washington, Indiana, and Brooklyn all sit at 14% for the top pick. Utah and Sacramento are at 11.5. Memphis is at 9. Atlanta, via New Orleans, sits at 6.8. Dallas is right behind at 6.7. Chicago is at 4.5. Milwaukee holds 3.0 through a pick arrangement. Then comes Golden State at 2.0, ahead of the Clippers pick belonging to OKC, Miami, and Charlotte. So yes, the Warriors are not favorites, not even close. But they are in the room. And in the lottery room, being in the room is everything. We have seen the impossible happen before. The Hawks jumped in 2024 and got Zachary Reisesher. The Mavericks beat longer odds in 2025 and landed Cooper Flagg. Those examples matter because they remind fans that a franchise does not need to tank for years to catch one lucky break. Sometimes all it takes is a single envelope, a single bounce, a single moment that changes how the next decade looks. For a team trying to honor Curry's remaining years while still building beyond them, that possibility is gold. Now, let's talk about the emotional layer here, because that is what makes this story feel bigger than numbers. Stephen Curry is not just another aging superstar. He is the identity of Warriors basketball. He changed the geometry of the sport. He changed the expectations of the franchise. He turned Golden State into a destination, a dynasty, and a global brand. So whenever you hear the phrase "save the Steph Curry era," it hits hard because fans understand what is really being said. This is not just about extending a timeline. It is about making sure the ending of an iconic career does not drift quietly into frustration. And here is where things get even more complicated. If Golden State stays at number 11, the Warriors are still looking at talented prospects. Hannes Steinbach, Nate Ament, Yaxel Lendeborg, Michael Brown Jr., Labaron Phelan. There is real intrigue there. In a strong class, that slot could deliver a quality young player with upside. But does that solve the immediate problem? Probably not. Does that help Curry right now? Maybe only a little. And that is where the debate inside the organization has to get serious. Do you keep that pick and trust your development pipeline? Do you try to find the next star before the current one leaves? Or do you package that asset with salary and future flexibility to chase a veteran who can move the needle today? Warriors fans, if you are still with me, this is the point in the video where I need you to smash like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments what you would do, because this is where the franchise could split its identity in two. The truth is, Golden State has been trying to straddle two timelines for years now. Sometimes it has looked clever, sometimes it has looked impossible. The idea was simple in theory: maximize Curry's championship window while grooming the next wave. But the NBA is not theory, it is reality, and reality is messy. Young players need reps, veterans need reliability. Title windows demand urgency. Development demands patience. Trying to do both at the same time is like driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. That tension showed up all season long. There were moments when the offense still looked dangerous, moments when the Warriors' ball movement and shot creation flashed that old championship DNA. But there were also too many possessions that felt forced, too many stretches where the offense stalled, too many signs that the supporting structure around Curry was not strong enough, consistent enough, or healthy enough to carry the burden. And when the games got tighter, when the margin for error disappeared, the flaws were exposed. The Suns' game was the harshest example. Phoenix looked sharper, more urgent, more composed. Golden State looked like a team running out of answers. That is why the loss felt final in a deeper way. It was not just the scoreboard, it was the sense that this roster, as currently built, had reached its limit. And once a team reaches that point, the offseason stops being about tweaks. It becomes about direction. That is why there is so much focus now on Steve Kerr's future and the Jimmy Butler situation. The fact that those questions even exist tells you how unstable this next chapter could be. Kerr has meant everything to the Warriors dynasty, but in the NBA, even iconic coaching runs eventually face pressure. And Butler's ACL recovery creates another layer of uncertainty, especially if trade possibilities enter the picture. Suddenly, you are not just talking about a pick. You are talking about the coach, the star timeline, the roster structure, the salary picture, and the philosophy of the franchise all at once. From a front office standpoint, a top 4 pick would be almost too powerful. It could be the rare asset that serves both timelines. If they love the prospect, they keep him and start preparing the next era with a premium talent. If they want to go all in for Curry, that pick becomes the centerpiece of calls every general manager in the league answers. That is why a 9.6% top 4 chance feels much bigger than it looks. It is not just about drafting well, it is about optionality. It is about leverage. It is about giving yourself a way out of the corner. And if the Warriors do not jump, then things get harder. Not hopeless, but harder. Number 11 is respectable. It is useful. It is not franchise-changing on its own. At that point, every decision gets more delicate. Are you drafting for upside, for fit, for trade value? Are you confident enough in your scouting to find a real gem? Are you willing to move that pick for a veteran who may help now but could age out quickly? These are not minor questions. These are questions that define whether the last act of the Curry era is competitive or chaotic. There is also a psychological side to this that fans should not ignore. Missing the playoffs is painful. Losing in the play-in is worse because it feels like your season ends before the real party even starts. But a guaranteed lottery pick in a loaded class gives the fan base something concrete to hold on to. It gives the organization reason to believe the season did not collapse into emptiness. Compared to finishing with the 15th pick after a first-round exit to Oklahoma City, this is actually a better setup for the future. That sounds strange after elimination, but it is true. And maybe that is the surprising twist of this entire Warriors story. The loss hurt, the season disappointed, the dynasty feels older. But Golden State still has a pulse, and not just because Curry is not done. They still own most of their future draft capital. They still have organizational credibility. They still play in a market players respect. They still have one of the most influential stars the game has ever seen. This is not a broken franchise. This is a franchise standing at a pressure point. The smartest move now may be the one that refuses panic. Not passivity, not complacency, but clarity. If the Warriors get lucky in the lottery, they have to understand exactly what that asset means. If they stay at 11, they have to be honest about whether that pick is more valuable on draft night or on the trade market. And above all, they have to decide what saving the Steph Curry era actually means. Does it mean making one last reckless swing? Or does it mean building a bridge from the last championship years into a future that does not collapse when he leaves? That is the question hanging over everything, because Curry has earned more than sentimental loyalty. He has earned intelligent urgency. He has earned a front office willing to be bold, but also smart. Fans do not want a ceremonial goodbye tour. They want one more team that matters, one more postseason run that feels dangerous, one more reason for the rest of the league to look at the Warriors and say they are still a problem. The lottery is not a guarantee of that. But it is a door, and right now, even a barely open door feels huge. So as the Warriors head into the offseason, remember this. The season may have ended in Phoenix, but the real drama is only beginning. The lottery odds are set. The pressure is rising. The choices are coming. This 2.0% chance at number 1 is tiny, but in Golden State's world, it carries enormous emotional weight because it represents possibility. Possibility for a star. Possibility for a trade. Possibility for a future that does not force fans to choose between honoring the past and chasing the next great chapter. If you love Warriors basketball, now is the time to lock in. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop your opinion below because every move from here could reshape Curry's career. And here is the question for Dub Nation. If the Warriors do land in the top 4, should they keep the pick and draft the future, or trade it for one more all-in run with Steph?